How you going? Paul is my name, and it's 5:14. Who would you trust to get Australia out of the problem that it's in at the moment? We know that this so-called world economic crisis has been brought on by greed, in essence. It starts with greed as individuals. We've accumulated a lot of private debt. And, of course, the greed of corporate bosses can't be dismissed either. So if someone was to ask you, who do you trust to fix the situation? Would you say business? Would you maybe say government? Now, I hate surveys that rate professions and look at who's qualified, who's trusted, who can be relied on, because radio announcers and broadcasters and journalists always end up with used car salesman and politician. And I respect you if you are the wearer of a very loud yellow jacket with black checks and make your living in the real estate trade. I'm not disparaging you, I'm simply bundling you in the same class as me. There's an official survey that's done by a leading public relations firm. Edelman has a base in Australia. It's an international firm. The boss here in Australia is David McCarthy. He's the managing director in Melbourne and joins us to talk about this Trust Barometer. How you going, David?
Well, thanks, Paul.
Good. How do PR gurus feature in all of this? How are you rated?
Well, fortunately, we don't ask ourselves that question. Maybe we should.
Now, we'll just qualify how this survey works. This Trust Barometer goes to people, and there are some filters in place. It's not a random survey. You are asking a specific sector of the community, and you have filters in respect of income and education, don't you?
Yeah, it's done primarily focused on business. The survey is done among people in the top 25% of income in the country, and it's also between 25 and 64, and they tend to have a tertiary education, so college education. So it's not, and it's a very important point you make, it's not actually a survey of everybody in the community, but it is those people who have opinions of business and are well informed and spend a lot of time looking at media, basically.
Yes. Now, is this the first time that Australia has been included?
That's right. We've run this survey globally in 20 countries around the world for the last 10 years, but every year we add a couple more countries, and fortunately we're able to add Australia this year. So it's the first year we have local data from those people in this country, which is why we're quite interested in the findings.
Yes. And when was the survey conducted? Was it taken
conducted in November and December, so it's very recent, and it's very much after the global financial crisis.
Okay, well that was the point I was going to make. Did it take account of the existing financial environment?
Absolutely, and the findings are very interesting. And if I might just give you a couple of headlines, I suppose the key finding is that the government is significantly more trusted than business in the current environment by that group of people, by about 13% higher, which is statistically significant, as the researchers tell me. And we're seeing that through all the questions in the survey, that government significantly is expected to have a much greater role in fixing problems that we face here in Australia over and above business, where traditionally business would have had a much higher trust rating.
Now, David, this is a bit of an indictment of the capacity of the market to fix itself, isn't it? Here we have people at the leading edge of business who are saying we need the government to help.
That's exactly right, Paul. I think people have lost faith. Certainly you've seen in the US and in other markets where there has been a general dissatisfaction with business to regulate itself and to come up with solutions. Certainly the US we see from the survey in that country, that the same survey, that they've been marked down very heavily, and you've seen that in the media in the last 3 months, how much Wall Street has been criticised. But that has actually flowed over. What we were surprised about was the extent in Australia of the difference between government. And if I could just give you a couple of other findings, 84% of those surveyed said they wanted more strict financial regulations in financial markets, and they expected government to provide that. And 81%, these are very high numbers, wanted government greater regulation across all industry sectors, not just the finance sector, but all industry. And these are in a country like Australia, which favours, a government with a soft hand. We're very surprised that these numbers are as high as they are.
Well, late last year, of course, we saw government intervention in short selling on the share market, for example. So that style of intervention is very much sought by the business community, by the sounds of things.
That's exactly right. But we also ask questions around who is expected to come up with the answers. And while government was very much in the fore, The group we surveyed also said they wanted business to partner with government more effectively. 64% said they wanted more partnership between business and government to come up with collective societal solutions to these problems. The problems we're talking about are things like climate change, global financial crisis, and affordable healthcare, those sorts of macro issues that affect everybody around the world.
Okay, it's interesting stuff. Good on you, David. Nice to talk to you today.
Very nice to talk to you, Paul. Thank you.
There's David McCarthy, who's the Managing Director of Edelman's public relations firm in Melbourne. They've done, in Australia for the first time, a Trust Barometer, which is a regular survey done in their other offices around the world.